structuring of hospitality and allied infrastructure and connectivity in rural India. As you have seen throughout the day, the topics that have been chosen are very, very pertinent and very important towards building a strategic roadmap for promotion of rural tourism. So yes, without delaying this any further, with a big round of applause from all of you, please welcome on stage our speakers and moderator for this session. Our speakers, Mr. Jagdeep Bhagat, National Coordinator, Network of India MICE Agents, Chief Executive Officer, VB Tour and Travels, Mr. Ashirvad Praharaj, General Manager, Hotel Taj Vivanta, Bhubaneswar, Mr. Surya Prasad Parida, Director, Crystal Crown, Bhubaneswar, and the session chairman, moderator, Mr. A.Talukdar, Hotel Consultant, founder, Hotel Inventory. In. Big round of applause for all of them. And as they settle, I'll of course do my duty of briefly introducing each one of them, though they are not, of course, all of you from the sector know them. Mr. Jagdeep Bhagat, techie traveler, experienced curator, mentor, a founder member and national coordinator of Network of Indian MICE Agents, past president of the ITA Agents Association of India's Northern Region. In a tourism career spanning over 27 years, he continues to contribute, innovate, and make sure the tourism industry in India grows better and more talented youngsters join it with passion. We have with us Mr. Ashirvad Praharaj, a General Manager, Hotel Taj Vivanta, Bhubaneswar, again a hospitality professional with over 25 years of multitasking experience that has spanned culturally diversified hotel organization. He's an alma mater of the Oberoi School of Hotel Management. Learning curve has been further highlighted by the leadership positions held at different properties, managing expectations of different stakeholders, including guests, employees, and partners, working both and city as well as leisure destinations. We have with us Mr. Surya Prasad Parida, Director, Crystal Crown, Bhubaneswar, our venue partner, ladies and gentlemen, a veteran in the hospitality industry with over 35 years of experience. He is an alumnus of IHM Bhubaneswar, also our associate partner, having passed out in 1984, one of the first few batches, started his career as a management trainee with ITDC, has served across many hotels of the country. After ITDC, he served Mayfair for about 15 years in several senior management roles, his last assignment being the executive director. He then began his entrepreneurial journey and then set up this beautiful, wonderful Crystal Crown where we all have assembled today here for this conclave. And of course, we have with us the moderator for this session, the very vibrant Mr. A.Talukdar, alumnus of IHM Kolkata, one of the most senior professionals in the hotel industry in Odisha, experience of over 40 years in hotel industry in India and outside. He's worked in Delhi, Kolkata, Kathmandu in different hotel brands, association in 2 innings in Bhubaneswar, span over a period of 25 years in different hotels. He has been also the external examiner for IHM Bhubaneswar for many years, has been associated as guest lecturer in many management institutes, was also vice president for the Crown Hotel in Bhubaneswar since 2003, before he took voluntary retirement in 2019. Currently, he runs his own consulting firm, Hotel Elementary.in, based in Bhubaneswar. And yes, that's the panel and the moderator for you. So I let Mr. Talukdar take this forward from here. Thank you so much.
Audible? Am I audible? Okay. Thank you, Diksha. We are humbled for the great introductions. Good afternoon. Just before the session, I was talking to all the panelists, and we all expressed a bit apprehensions that it is always tough to have the last technical session in any seminar or conclave, whether we will have any audience left till at the last session. But we are so glad and happy to see hall is nearly full. Thank you so much for being there, and we are very sure we will make it so interesting to hold you till end of the session. Now, this session is impact of an effective and strategic rural tourism by restructuring of hospitality and allied infrastructure and connectivity in rural Odisha. kudos to the person from Argus, whoever thought of this topic, because this topic itself can take all day, but we have exactly 60 minutes for this topic. Now, today we have on this session to discuss the potential impact of effective and strategic rural tourism on the hospitality and allied infrastructure of rural India. Rural tourism has the power to revitalize and transform rural communities, providing economic opportunities and preserving cultural heritage. By restructuring hospitality and allied infrastructure and improving connectivity in rural areas, we can create a sustainable and inclusive tourism industry that benefits both travels and local communities. I am excited to explore this topic with all of you and look forward to the insights and ideas that will be shared today. I will start with Mr. Bhagat. Mr. Bhagat, as our topics is pretty vast, but I will be very specific. How can rural tourism business in Odisha, I am being specific because in the previous two sessions, they have deliberated in most of the areas covered in rural tourism. How can rural tourism business in Odisha be encouraged to adopt sustainable practices that benefit both the environment and the local community?
Good afternoon all. It's always been a pleasure to be part of such efforts which talks about tourism. And as the topic itself is very interesting, rural tourism. Since morning, we have been listening to all seniors in the trade who have got wide experience in the field. I would just like to add my perspective to rural tourism, which is the essence of the sessions today, I believe. Rural tourism is not about going to a village, doing some exercises, activities and returning. It is actually the way of life at those rural areas, small villages. That is what is core of rural tourism. Somebody was mentioning some certain waterfalls in remote areas that should be developed as a rural tourism and all. I feel that those are natural attractions which are creating tourism opportunities. That is nowhere a rural tourism. Rural tourism is when we take people from non-rural or urban areas or maybe foreign tourists who are visiting India and all to witness and experience the lifestyle which are people staying in Indian rural villages or rural areas are living. They should be part of those activities. That is more important so that they actually get that essence of rural tourism. That is first thing. Now, when we say of developing a strategy to develop or improve on the infrastructure which is there, whether it is last mile connectivity or anything else which grows that movement and that inclination to explore the rural areas, I personally think the most important stakeholders for the rural tourism are the people in those rural areas itself. So if you are talking of a village which has got say 50 households or something around those numbers, small villages I am talking, then the most important stakeholders are those villagers, those who need to be trained, skilled, and they should be taught about the opportunity, the tourism opportunity which they have got in their own village. It could be a local artisan creating certain artworks, certain a piece of work they are selling locally or otherwise. I'll just quote an example. A farmer in a village, he can a tourism related project. Some groups can go there, farm picking and all those things. These are very common activities, rural activities overseas. So that is one of the area where it can be easily cultivated. That is again building up the infrastructure within that. So infrastructure has to be in the rural area only. Well, you can't build up infrastructure in the urban area and then take it out there. Of course, except the road last mile connectivity to reach to those rural areas, rest all development is needed to be done at the place itself. So if there are 50 villages or something, 50 houses on those villages, we need to educate. We have to find out if youngsters are there who can be taught and made passionate about tourism so that they can create certain activities for incoming people out there. Imagine I belong to mice industry and I explore more of such opportunities. Consider in our old scenario where if you have seen some Malgudi Days type of serials, you might have seen small children taking classes under a tree. So visualize a board meeting or a top level or mid level management meeting happening under a tree at a village, and then they are having lunch served made by the local villagers and all. That gives the sense of it. Any urban city, you drive 4 hours, you are into some sort of village. Get that. That is the beginning of it. Before we think of putting small homestays or cottages or something of that, we can always start people at least experiencing what rural tourism is. And then next step comes in homestays, developing on where the role of government comes into picture, because then they need to incentivize. Any entrepreneur going to a remote village, his interest will be to make money. The idea is not to make money. The idea is to empower the local villagers in those rural areas to grow. So they should be earning more rather than an entrepreneur coming to that. And then I've got high regards for Mr. Manti, and he explained about that Chilka resort when he opened up, and that was more of switching a rural area to an urban development. So we need to maintain it within the rural framework and educate, empower the local people. So that is the infrastructure we should be talking of. This is my take.
That was very insightful. In fact, I had myself few rebuttals, but I will hold for later if we have time. I will come next to Mr. Ashivat Maharaj. Surya, I will come to you last, you being the host. Ashivat, your group is will be having almost 5 properties in the state of Odisha in next couple of years. So your question is, now it is the time when you build a project about interacting and communicating with different stakeholders. What role can government and other stakeholders play in supporting the restructuring of the hospitality industry in rural Odisha?
Good evening, everyone. Talking about restructuring of rural tourism would probably be, for me, not the exact approach to what I'm going to say, because in my opinion, it requires a completely fresh approach. Talking about rural tourism, which is a fairly large topic, is pretty much like asking a doctor for just 3 things that you can do to stay healthy. You can't really, it's a huge topic. But the certain things are very obvious, you know, having the right financing structure, having the right business model support, making single window approvals, all these things pretty much everybody knows. But to my mind and out of my experience of working in certain places like Kerala, where I have seen rural tourism at a slightly better defined level, in fact, much more advanced level. These are the 3-4 things that I would like to point out. Number 1 is there has to be a completely different approach or a mindset change. Let me explain. You know, there are states where everybody clings and goes to the cities and the villages and the rural area. So between the urban area and the rural area, there is a sharp socio-economic divide. Those kind of setups are quintessentially with a mindset that if you want to prosper, you have to be in A, B, C locations and the rest don't matter. But I have seen in places where the pressure is exactly the other way around, in the sense that between a rural area and an urban area, the importance is depending on what your priorities are. So those places, the urban landscape is not overloaded and the rural diaspora is not backtrodden, downtrodden or ignored. So first and foremost, that mindset has to be there, that everything will be good in a sheher, the rural area is not worth it and it's meant for just the cows and the buffaloes to be there, or the farms, and if at all there is a mountain or a waterfall, fine, we will go and do something out there. That mindset has to change. And through a very conscientious social approach, strategy, a game plan, this has to evolve. That's one thing where both from a government point of view, which is basically a policy making body, to the industry like us, which is a strategy making body, and public at large, that's step one. Step two is one has to understand what does the rural area really require. You know, I have also seen that you go in and open anything. Now, rural tourism is not just a homestay. It could also be a wayside amenity center. On the national highway, you have a good wayside amenity center. These kind of places do exist in Punjab, Haryana, these kind of Himachal. They have very good examples of this that do add a lot to the local economy. And I'm talking about the rural economy here. So, one has to understand what the place really requires. Often you go up and put something which the people really are not interested in. So then there is a conflict of interest. So for that, what is required is awareness and buy-in. Education is one thing, awareness. So education is required. The education at both ends is required. But awareness of what will work and why, so that there is a buy-in. Otherwise, I have seen rural businesses, I have run some of them, where you are under constant protest. You are the permanent villain of that place. But then everybody still needs the place because it generates livelihood for 200 people locally, and then everybody treats that establishment as a limitless ATM. But then the place cannot have sustenance. At the end of the day, whether you do rural tourism, you do healthcare, whatever you do, it's a business. If it is not sustainable, let's not waste time on it. So if you're going to put up anything that is rural tourism related, it could be a homestay, it could be a resort, it could be an activity center, it could be a wellness workshop, it could be anything. So if there is no buy-in, then there is no discipline. If there is no discipline, then there is no sustenance. Then of course comes the education factor. Education does not mean just qualification. Education means quality skills that may not be high on the qualification matrix. Like, you know, we have this, I've been in this industry for 27 years. Everybody wants to do hotel management. So if everybody aspires to be a manager, then who's serving? So we are talking about skill levels, ground skill levels. And in Odisha in particular, that's a huge potential because Odisha has been sending the ground level workforce to other states consistently. Odisha and the neighboring states do contribute a lot of people. So that's a potential here. Next thing is and the last thing that I would like to point out here is beauty cannot be skin deep. Let's take this city for example. We have an amazing Janpat. Try driving into Shahid Nagar. And then the landscape changes. So we may have great national highways, but how are the places, how are the village roads, how is the condition? So if you go back to again awareness and education, there is a certain qualitative improvement. Everything cannot look like Switzerland. India need not look like Switzerland, but as India, with its paddy fields, with its farms, with its natural, comfortable landscape, let it be clean, let it be orderly. Let there be proper infrastructure. I'm not talking about the world-class roads, but you know, at least things are not broken. So infrastructure has to be much deeper than the skin level. And I think these could be a few key things that to begin with from the government side, you know, it could move it forward.
Thank you. That's nice to hear for somebody who has really run a property in rural India. And we are all pretty sure that in near future Taj will run its property in some of the brands in the rural Odisha too. Surya, Mr. Surya Parida, you are the host, so I came to you last. You have worked in Odisha for many, many years. My question, if you can highlight, how can the hospitality industry in rural Odisha leverage technology to enhance customer experience, streamline operation and improve efficiency? Because we often have this technology vis-a-vis rural gap, the common perception. That's why this question.
Good evening, everyone. In fact, when this question came to me, I was not comfortable with this question because I am not tech savvy. The one thing that I hate most is technology. So in the morning, while having a cup of tea, I was just thinking, what should I answer? And then a beautiful ghazal of Jagjit Singh came to my mind, and I'd like to share it here to sum up my thoughts and also to make you feel what is rural tourism and what actually one Indian feels, I think, when he's 60 plus, like me. Ye shohrat bhi le lo, ye daulat bhi le lo, bhale cheen lo mujhse meri jawani, मगर मुझको लौटा दो वो बचपन का सावन, वो कागज की कश्ती, वो बारिश का पानी, वो कागज की कश्ती, वो बारिश का पानी. Thank you.
That's it. I thought that was reserved for evening cultural program.
I feel all of you could understand what I meant was ultimately the desire of every human being is to be simple, is to live in simple conditions, to live with nature, and to behave like a kid. Make the boats, paper boats, and throw them in the water. So it is not required. If you are thinking of rural tourism, let us live like rural people. Yes, technology is required in rural tourism. We must help the rural people in improving their efficiency. In this regard, I remember when question was asked to Gandhiji that why are you against technology, against machines, against factories? He said, no, I am against factories and machines which replaces people, but I am pro those machines which improve efficiency of people, bring employment to people. I am pro sewing machine because it empowers that lady, but I am against that machine which replaces the lady. I hope I have made my point. So my thought of technology for rural tourism should be gobar gas plant to improve fuel efficiency, going for solar panels, solar energy to bring cheap energy to their homes, bring street lights without any cost, improving their cultivation with modern technologies, and other allied things which people who are expert in this field can speak on. But those technologies should be pro-human being, give empowerment to human being, improve efficiency to human being so that he can deliver good product to the customers or the guests or to his society where he is doing his service. Of course, apart from that, if you think of tourism, we must also think of these modern technologies like social media, online booking, and all these things which can help them, improving their way of day-to-day life of bringing doing good hospitality in their own way. Apart from this, the villages should be as it is. We should go to the villages to see the muddy roads, to see the bullock carts going, to see the plowing in its typical style. Otherwise, why should I come to a village? I can as well go to America and see the modern technologies. You see, when I was a child and we used to come home in our vacations, I used to be very thrilled because I knew I'll get a bullock cart drive from the road to my village. I was so thrilled to see the bullocks getting what in Odia, Jotiva, to fix them with the cart. That was a marvelous thing for me to see how the bullocks can be fixed to a cart. So, these are things which we are missing. And these are things which bring, thrill to any human being who comes from a city life. Our children have not seen bullock carts. Our children do not know what is Bullock Drive. Our children do not know what is Chenapodo. Our children do not know what is Podopitha. Our children do not know what is Mandapitha. These are the things which still live in villages. Let us think of rural tourism in these things, not think of online booking, social media platforms, Instagram. My chachi or chacha in the village, if I talk to them, they'll not understand. They'll think हमको ये tourism नहीं करना है. So we should see what they are and उसको कैसे हमको आगे बढ़ाना है, लोगों को दिखाना है, showcase करना है. But of course इसका एक और impact भी है, that is the poverty of villages. When you talk of rural tourism, when you talk of technology, everything, also we must see that let us not think that rural tourism is a very glamorous industry. It has got its side effects. And that also has to be seen by stakeholders, that we should not show the wrong side of our villages, but only promote the right side of our villages. And the way it is, not bring the modern technology and use it in our villages. Use those technologies that help in promoting tourism, those technology which helps in conservation of their tradition, but improving their efficiency. Now, those are things which I would like to highlight. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Surya. Very interesting insights, and thanks for letting us know your hidden talent too. The way we have thought of structuring it, we'll go for 2 rounds of giving our deliberations, and then if we have time, we will have few questions. We are through with the first round. Mr. Bhagat, your turn. Since you are into mice mostly, and you're one of the leading operator in mice tourism in India, but so far mice tourism has many pitfalls, drawbacks, limitations as far as rural tourism is concerned, because it is more or less a volume kind of thing. So my next question, what kind of training and skill development program are needed to enhance the quality of hospitality services in rural tourism in Odisha? This question is very relevant, especially post-pandemic. We see there's a massive scarcity of manpower or across, just not in Odisha or India, across the globe in hospitality industry. That's why, but what kind of training and skill development program are needed to enhance the quality of hospitality services in rural tourism in Odisha? Like the training and skill level or skill type, it may not be same as, say, Vivanta Bhubaneswar or a rural homestay in Koraput. So on that perspective, if you can elaborate.
First of all, I would like to emphasize on an important vertical within MICE, which is incentive travel. So incentive travel need not necessarily be 100, 200, 300 people. It's only during events where we see a number count. As I said earlier, our key stakeholders are the villagers itself, because that is our product. That is the place where we are developing those products for others to use. So all skills needed to be developed at those levels. So if villagers are there, somebody is willing or someone is eligible to be employed, or I'll call youngsters of those villages. I'll not name, but I believe hoteliers out here, they are having workforces at their hotels who are coming from these small villages only. They do have their skill sets and they do still have their roots in those villages. So the moment we say or we can educate them that there lies some potential where we can get some tourists, some small incentive groups or maybe some leisure groups into their villages, I'm sure some of those villagers who are now working in most of the top brands within the state or maybe outside the state, they would definitely, all those with, at least with those entrepreneurial mindset, they will definitely go back to their villages and try to get into entrepreneurship and develop those products. So skill set, see, in small time villages, Odisha, maybe I'm not that aware of villages, how it works, but in most of the northern India, I think if anything happens, any celebration, any wedding in a village sort of thing, so or any social gatherings, social activities in a village, practically whole of the village is contributing to make it a success. So similarly, we can try to rope in villagers to create those kind of experiences so that if any inbound tourism is happening to their villages, they should be ready to work as a team and deliver the kind of product people are looking into. So skill sets, training, of course, basic training, basic education about hygiene, keeping communication skills is one of the most important factors because language is an important barrier. Unless until they are able to communicate to the audience, it will definitely be a challenge as far as operations are concerned. But that is, if we can improve their communication skills, their soft skills, their basic understanding of hygiene, how it works, maybe some sort of culinary art, I'll not say up to the level of Michelin star sort of restaurants, but at least they should be knowing that if they are serving food to someone, well, how it is presented, because at the end of the day, it's presentation which also matters. But it should be village food. I'll quote two examples, and two classic examples which are actually, it should have been happening in the villages. There is one famous a theme park, I'll say, in Jaipur, Chokidani, if somebody has heard of it. Similar is there in Punjab also, a different name, and the whole idea is to create a village experience. So we do have villages in the state where half of the things already exist. The only thing is that we have to package it and promote it. The moment we start doing it, it is always better to have a real-time feeling rather than a virtual feeling created in a urban city. So we need to educate the local people only. That is because if you put any outsider into it, they will always be considered outsider. They'll have some sort of dissent. The results which we can otherwise get into, say, 5 years, it will take 50 years to get those kind of results if villagers feel like it is all outsiders are coming to our village and trying. And moreover, they will also see the difference if any entrepreneur is coming here putting money. Of course, if somebody is putting money, they're taking maximum money out of the village economy as well. So we need to empower local people so that their economical growth should be there, their social growth should be, their life should get some improvement, betterment. I'll not say that their life should get changed, but their life should at least get better. That is the whole idea of developing the infrastructure out there. So that is my take. That is the way we should be looking at it.
Thank you very much. If I can summarize in that, like composite, multi and sustainable skilling, especially for rural tourism employees were attached. Mr. Praharaj, interesting question. Not tough one, of course. What are the best practices for marketing and promoting the rural tourism hospitality industry in Odisha, and how can they be adopted to local conditions? Because marketing is my favorite subject, two subject, marketing and technology. So this is my favorite question. What are the best practices for marketing and promoting the rural tourism hospitality industry in Odisha? How can they be adapted to local conditions? This topic was somewhat discussed in both the sessions in some other forms, but still you can go ahead.
Again, this is a very broad question, but one has to take a balanced scorecard approach to this. Any organization that is sustainable takes a balanced scorecard approach with focus on four things. Number one is positioning and profitability. Second is customer experience point of view. Third is processes with which you run the place. And fourth is people development, because without the right inputs, right resources, you can't run. Best practices, there are many. I'm not a domain expert, but what I have seen are the following. Number one is, as a state, one has to follow a bucketing approach to what you really want to do in terms of rural tourism. Rural tourism cannot be a one-stop shop for everybody. So you cannot just say that we'll do homestays everywhere, or you cannot say that we'll do wayside amenities everywhere. My fellow panelist was talking about Chokidani. I think he was talking about Haveli, the concept in Punjab, which you also see in Himachal and other places. So this is one format. Then we, for example, the company I work for, we have homestays. We have luxurious homestays that are in remote locations where which are quintessentially villages. There cannot ever be a hotel or a resort there in that format. That is another bucket. There are places where I have seen in Tamil Nadu and in certain southern states, there are these places where they take you for like a corporate workshop experience, which is in a rural setting. It has got nature, it's got, you got that. In Punjab, we have farm tourism, which has come up, not too well, but it has still come up and it's gaining popularity. So, as one of the best practices one could do is to identify your buckets, and then while you identify the bucket, you know what will work where. So that is having a broader strategy. Second good practice that I have seen in some places is that you simplify the approach to these business models. It cannot be the same approach to a traditional hotel or a restaurant or a food court kind of or an airline or anything for that matter. These businesses will essentially be run with very strong local ethos, simplicity, and extremely simplified skill levels. When you are talking about that, you have to simplify things. You cannot complicate certificates, and it has to be a single window approach, and it has to be a very simple format, reporting, whether it is filing of taxation or for that matter getting the finance. Next good practice, which is also worked in certain places, and Odisha has the infrastructure through IDCO, etc., is to have end-to-end hand-holding systems. Unlike a traditional hospitality venture, which is what we have in our places, in the kind of businesses we work in, we are the domain experts. So we take the initial assistance of consulting, architecture, design, marketing plan, and then we run with it. But when you take rural tourism, much of this will not work in that manner. It will require end-to-end hand-holding for a good amount of time, till such time it is mature enough to kind of look after on its own. Even as a hotel company, let me share with you where we run our homestays in, and we have more than 100 now. We are in many states and we hope to be in Odisha someday. These businesses are where our people are just taking care of the upkeep and the customer and the food. That's it. Everything else is managed back-end by us from a nearby city. So when you talk about rural tourism, which will be definitely on a private-public partnership model, there will be those pockets of excellence where some individual entrepreneur will go ahead and do something. That will always exist. But much of it, the bulk of it, 70% of this would possibly run on a PPP model. And in this model, you would require to incorporate a best practice from somewhere in the world where you have to provide end-to-end assistance. I can't think of anything more exciting at this point of time beyond these points.
No, that is was very interesting to know. Is that Amma brand you were talking about? Was it Amma brand?
Yes, Amma.
It was really pleasant surprise to know that you are running 100 Ammas all over India. And I mean, everybody will agree with me today. In Odisha has tremendous potential for Amma brand kind of touch, that kind of branding. So you can delve into it. Mr. Parida, it's your turn. Promote Jagjit Singh, please. What are the current challenges faced by the hospitality industry in rural tourism of Odisha? And what are the key reasons for the need of restructuring? Current challenges, I mean, see, today if I want to put up a hotel, my first perception comes, do I get land in Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, Puri? But first perception is not that should I look a land in Koraput. That is not my first priority. I am talking who want to put up a property because they feel the perception that there will be lot many challenges than I will face if I put it in a urban or a city area. So what are the current challenges you perceive for a stakeholder in the rural tourism?
Well, as I understand, we speak about this rural tourism. What I feel is that taking tourists to the villages. It is not creating a hotel or a modern resort in a village and calling tourists to experience a village tourism. My thinking of this rural tourism is taking the tourists to villages as it is. But not able to hear? Okay, I'm sorry. I'll be a little louder now. So my perception of rural tourism is taking the tourists to villages and not making a resort or a hotel in a village or in a city or in a touristic area in the model of a village. So let us be quite clear what we speak about rural tourism. So when we speak about rural tourism and making the tourists feel what India is and what it looks like and to feel the way our villagers lead their life, that is what is rural tourism. So in this case, I don't know about Punjab, Haryana and Himachal, what they're doing. But Odisha villages, as I see, because I have got a village, I go to my village which is in 20 kilometers away from Bhubaneswar. It is still rustic and earthy. Although now it has a road, but still it has its old world charm. The people do farming, there are bullock carts, but of course modern tractors have come. All those are there. So suppose I like to take some guests to my village. I think it will be a very good experience for them to stay in my village in thatch roof. Of course, we got fans now. There is power. So there are some basic amenities. A person would love to stay in a good weather between November to February in the village and experience of village life. But with that, what can be done to improve the efficiency of the village tourism? You see, taking your own guests, they won't mind getting served by your own people, housemates and house people. But when you try to do it in a commercial way, then they will expect a little bit of services. They'll expect the cuisine to be a little high standard, the crockery, cutlery to be better. So in that way, first is we have to have skilled manpower in the villages. And manpower not coming from Bhubaneswar, Cuttack or others, but it is the village manpower which has to be developed from the same community. In this case, our Odisha is doing a good job in community tourism in this eco retreats, these jungle resorts, but the forest department is doing, developing the resort in the forest area and getting the help of the local people who do the hospitality, and they also take the revenue what is earned. So in that model, we can develop and skill our manpower. And skill manpower, as my colleague said, not hotel management, but we have to develop skilling, like craft institutes or skilling institute. Just basic skills, what is a plate, what is a cup, what is, how to serve water, how to clear a plate, and all those, what is a soup, what is the main course, all those things. So we have to first skill our manpower. Second is, most important is hygiene and sanitation. We've got to have good toilets, clean toilets. So got to have good kitchen, clean kitchen, but maybe it is old fashioned, maybe we have a wood fire, maybe we have solar fire, maybe we have gobar gas fire, but the kitchen has to be hygienic, clean and well sanitized. So the rooms must be well laid. So we have got to improve on the hygiene sanitation, got to skill our manpower, we got to have good pest control, because there are a lot of flies, a lot of mosquitoes in villages, so people are not used to such weather, such conditions, so there has to be pest control. So we got to, so these are challenges. And then second thing, if we want to develop a house, we want to bring in a little bit of luxury, so the funding is required. How to channelize the funds, how to make these people earn some money, get some money and develop their places, so that you can really give a good feeling to the customer who comes and stays in a village. We got to develop the roads and some streets where we can take them for a street walk or a path and show them the village around, take them to farms, So all these things require little infrastructure development, where the funding has to come from either panchayat or, I don't know, some body. So funding is one challenge which is there. Electricity is not very good in villages. That electricity problem has to be solved. Internet connections have to be there. And sanitation, hygiene, and skilling of the manpower. Then we got to have this awareness. The promotion of village tourism has to be there in a large platform, so that people are aware of the villages, which are villages are getting marketed. So we got to have marketing awareness. And then finally, it is a sustainability. We got to ensure that this business is sustainable. Fulfill the need of this generation, it should also fulfill the need of future generation without compromising on the ecology, on the environment, and at the same time developing the economy of the place. With this, sir, I think I have broadly covered the challenges. There could be many more and we could talk more, but with this I just end up. Thank you.
Thank you, Surya. Dear audience, please do not think that I have told Mr. Parida to delay the high tea. Actually, we are bang on time. And we have some extra time as well. Now, we have completed our 2 rounds. Now, in this summing up thing, what I would like to say that we have touched all the topics since morning, most of the topics. 2 of my favorite topics, which I like most during all the sessions, those 2 topics came time and again. One is marketing of rural tourism, one is technology, how tech will enter the rural tourism. Now, as far as marketing is concerned, I have a different, my own concept. Somebody in previous session talked about soft power, word of mouth. I think Professor Patnaik, soft power, word of mouth. And soft power is also now social media. There are statistics, there are pure statistics. Odisha population is how much? 5 crore, 5.5. 2014 was 4.37. So it should be 5 crore. Out of 5 crore, nearly 3 crore people are on social media. 3 crore people are social media, rural, urban combined. All social medias, Insta, FB, Twitter, LinkedIn and all combined. Now, imagine if somehow, I don't know how it can be done from the government side or private player side, if this 3 crore people does one post, 1 week or even 1 month about a destination of Odisha only, can you imagine the reach? 3 crore post, like government declares this month is the month of Koraput. And all these 3 crore people are either pushed or encouraged to post at least 1 post in a month on Koraput, either on FB or Twitter. Or 3 crore posts a month only on one destination. And the reach is tremendous. As we know, I mean, this is a meta and Statista combines statistics, like it takes 7.5 minutes for 1 post on WhatsApp to go viral in a state, and 17.5 hours to in all over India. 1 viral post. That is all it takes. But if you post 1 post in your WhatsApp groups, different friends and groups, if it is that interesting or that scandalous, it takes exactly 7.5 minutes to go all over Odisha. So you can imagine the reach. That is one of the concepts I just float for to discuss on another summer. And as far as technology is concerned, these days we are all playing with ChatGPT, I hope. So as ChatGPT came a few months ago, and ChatGPT reach is tremendous. What Insta could gather in 5.5 years, ChatGPT got it in 2 months. The people who have downloaded the apps are using the app. So when I came to know that I am the moderator of this session, Rural Tourism, I started playing with ChatGPT. I wrote ChatGPT, please give me a poem on rural tourism of Odisha. And immediately, within seconds, listen to this, what ChatGPT came up with. In the state of Odisha, so fine, there is tourism decline. Rural sites you can see from the land to the sea, and a culture that's truly divine. Beaches and temples galore, there is so much to see and explore, from Konark to Puri and the Vitarkanika safari. Odisha's delights will leave you in awe. In rural Odisha, you will find a tourism scene one of a kind, with villages so quaint and views that will make you faint. You will leave with a changed state of mind. There once was a tourist from Odisha who sought out rural bliss with a fervor. He travelled far and wide and found countryside with charm that he could not differ. There once was a traveller from afar who came to Odisha to see the stars, but instead of the city, they chose something pretty. Rural tourism with cows, fields and jars. They wandered through villages so quaint and found that it wasn't at all plain. With temples and crafts and cuisine that outlasts the cities, they thought it was insane. So if you are seeking adventure in Odisha, there is no censure. Take a break from the bustle and give rural tourism a tussle. You will find it's a treasure beyond measure. That was technology for rural tourism. This is not written by any poet or anybody. This has come from AI of today's world. One last sentence each to the topic in general. Put about one sentence, please. Then we'll ask questions.
As he has mentioned about technology and ChatGPT and all, we had been insisting our members to get smart. We call it as tech smart, get smart, because technology we need to use onto it. We have been using, even myself, I am quite reliant on latest technology tools and all, but at the end, I would like to mention and emphasize at least my viewpoint that AI, artificial intelligence, will always remain artificial. So human intelligence is supreme and that is going to remain supreme. We should be using it up to a certain level. So at the end of the day, we have to use our brains.
Well, after all, ChatGPT is invented by human brains only, sir. Thank you. But good, very correct point, very correct point. One sentence. I will ask my host. One sentence.
No, I think the essence of rural tourism and its potential lies in the fact that everybody in the world is trying to get back to an organic lifestyle. Especially post-COVID, people are really conscious about themselves and their surroundings. And everybody wants to reconnect, and somehow in a country like ours, our roots lie back in the rural landscape rather than the urban landscape. So all I would say is that there is tremendous potential, and with the right strategic approach, a lot of milestones can be achieved.
Yeah. Anything you promote, be it rural tourism or beach tourism or heritage tourism or any tourism, everything is good. But we should be very careful against heavy commercialization. Like, for example, you take Raghurajpur in Odisha. I think you all agree it has become highly commercial. You go and the rates asked for everything is beyond reach of a common man. In fact, I think they also don't like brown skin nowadays. So then there is tout element. I suppose and I feel the villages being so simple and humble, these things you should be careful that tomorrow the village do not become a center of thuggism, commercialization, and negative impact. And our underbelly, that is poverty, we should be careful about that. Thank you.
Before I thank all my panelists and to dear audience, the question answer, we have enough, not enough time exactly, two questions, three panelists, three questions. Identify yourself, whom the question is addressed to whom, And the question, like my previous moderator Patnaik sir said, no statement please. Question, Mr. Tripathi. Mic please, here. Can we have a mic here please? Sorry,
Sir, you can sit down, sir.
अरे ये वाला दे दो.
Mine will not be a question. It will be an answer. The answer to the question which Mr. Talukdar has asked, how to improve the skill of the rural youth to augment the requirement of manpower when we are thinking of improving rural tourism. You know, few years back, Government of India had felt there is a large number of requirement of manpower in hotel industry, and the money spent by the courses in the institute is quite huge. So the unemployed youth in villages, in rural areas, they can't afford to have such courses. So to improve, to increase the number of manpower, to generate more manpower, so they thought of a course called Hunar Se Rozgar. Hunar Se Rozgar, there's courses of small durations, and it is free of cost. Rather, the students or the youth, rural youth, those who are coming here to study, they don't pay anything, rather they get some stipend. Accommodation free, stipend, they also get stipend. And the courses were starting from 6 weeks to 10 weeks courses. And the courses are so popular, there is huge demand, and it is not only government institutes that are running these courses, but most of the private institutes, and some organizations came up only for such courses. So I feel there is no dearth of manpower when you are thinking of in rural tourism, and to improve the skill of I have my personal experience. Many of them have got gainful employment after doing such courses. When I say gainful employment, I don't say that these are salaried employment, and many of them have their own units, many small units of small lodges, or even the catering units, and they are really gainfully employed. So I don't think there will be any problem when you think of improving rural tourism through this gainful employment of the rural unemployed youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your answer, sir. Yes, Hunar Se Rozgar is one of the most successful projects by Ministry of Tourism. You must admit, every IHM I interact with, they come tell me the same thing. Thank you.
Hello. Thank
Yes.
you. Myself, Bipin Mohanty. I belong to a property that is Walden Woods Eco Village. It's a 300-acre property, and it's 2 kilometers long. And other side is the forest. It's a wildlife sanctuary. So in the property, when we are constructing, basically this session is for infrastructure development and all, particularly in the context of rural tourism. What we are facing the problems, we make the thatched house and all, okay, mitti ghar, but the insects and all the thing, na, then we are fear of all the thing. We cannot make the guest safe. Then we change it into the concrete. When you are thinking of food and even the kitchen design also, na, the same problem. We want to show them that this chula and all the thing. Okay, then our chefs are not competent to do that sort of thing. So these are little bit problems we are facing. We are having 3 villages inside the campus, just in the border of the campus, 3 villages, tribal villages. We want to send the people to not stay exactly, to live with them in the whole day time. Okay, so then again the problem is that the communal things and all, like what their mindset, their communal behavior and all the thing, drink and, okay, lot of issues are coming. Food is very tough part. What Sir is telling that they should live in there only, with somebody to develop. Then who will develop? If Okay, my property is different. When we are thinking about some village to make it a tourism village, so who will develop? Who is the person? Why he will be interested? What is the enterprise system? Have you any model, successful model? If you'll share, maybe we can share to the people. This is new startup, new things and all. So a lot of issues are coming. It's a nice discussion, okay? And specifically, I was not invited, but morning somebody called and I came over here. I came to know it's a big thing, and not only one state, 7 states, including Odisha, 8 states are there. Okay, thank you.
So
If
Mr.
any answer,
Bhagat would
please.
like to answer you on this.
Sir, as you rightly said, who will invest into it, that is where the role of government comes into existence. I'll just quote an example, no politics involved. When our Honorable Prime Minister emphasized the need of toilets, the government of India funded all those homes which were not having toilets to get those things built. So when I mentioned that we need to enhance and develop the infrastructure within those villages only. We need not to have eco-retreats built up on those villages and all. So the idea is, suppose a small house which has got 2 rooms and maybe only a couple staying and their children staying. Now we need to upgrade the remaining room so that that can accommodate at least 2 people staying there overnight just in case it is required. Most of the villages we do have panchayat halls and all those things where normally, as I mentioned, the social activities of those villages happens. If not in the same village, 3 or 4 small villages do have cluster of these facilities. They do have some schools where they have halls and all. The only thing is we need to align those things, educate them that these are the spare infrastructure which could be used. So rather than putting money all together, where of course then, as you mentioned, PPP model is required because more funding is required, but these existing things can easily be moderated. And the other thing, that sense of insecurity about insect bites, and Mr. Marana was telling me about that snake bites are very popular in Odisha and all. So for that, we need to educate on that first aid part, that so that at least first aid is timely delivered, at least something can be sorted out on that. But that is where the education works. So that is how we feel, but that is my perception, that that should be the way forward to go into developing that infrastructure rather than building on bigger infrastructure or maybe 20, 30 rooms.
But who will develop the ecosystem?
That
Okay,
is-
I'm good enough, I'm a little bit professional, but who will do the develop ecosystem?
One question per.
And now,
I'll take it offline, sir. I'll take it offline now.
I'll just answer you, just Pradeep. Sir, Mr. Mohanty, what you rightly asked, and you have touched me on this subject. I was in Darjeeling, and there was a tourism, travel, what do you call it? What do you call this? Travel agent called Help Tourism. I think Pradeep you will be knowing. You know, they developed a place called Pelling. Pelling is a place in East Sikkim which was unknown. This Help Tourism people went. Pelling is houses. They themselves took up the houses. With the help of those families, they developed them, they skilled them, and they started then promoting these houses as small lodges or small village houses, and they started promoting tourism through that. And today is Pelling, I think, is in the India's tourism map very well documented. And from there, the way you see Kanchenjunga range, you cannot see it from anywhere in the world. So we got to develop. I said we have to have skills development centers. We got to have people who will do this work, who will take up this cause of going and exploring and developing. What we are talking is just a tip of the whole thing. But one has to explore and one has to go to the villages. Thank you.
One last question for the day.
Yeah. Oh, I have a very specific question to my friend Asirvad. I know ISL is growing very fast and growing very big. So is there any specific plan from ISL in terms of promoting and creating infrastructure for the rural tourism in particular?
Yeah.
Where? In Odisha? Odisha?
Yes, in our country.
They
and
already
specific-
having 100 AMA brand all over India.
in our in our country and also in Odisha.
Okay, so the answer to your question is yes. It's not a hidden strategy or anything, or it is state specific. Pan India, we have seen a major demand, and also people coming forward with their potential businesses which have been taken under our Amma Trails and Stays brand. Now, Amma Stays and Trails brand is basically a homestay brand, but a luxurious homestay brand of a very small inventory of 4 to 5 rooms. And the idea is to take a regular hotel guest to that part of the country where he otherwise would not normally go, unless and until it's part of some adventure tourism. So we exist in villages, we exist in the mountains, and also in some places like tea and coffee estates. Awareness in Odisha is about this particular brand is admissibly low at this point of time. People who have gone and experienced, but that's about it. So we are very open to anyone who has a beautiful asset. It could be the government, it could be a private player, it could be a lovely bungalow, a place with a charm, a place with a history. And with very little capital, it does get converted into a very lively home to live in. And if that could happen in Odisha for us, we are very open to it. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. I'm a final year student of IHM Bhubaneswar. My name is Rajvi Sarkar. I have a question to Mr. Ashirwad Praraj. That do you think that the recent initiative of IECL and Taj of Amma Stays and Trails had brought along any significant changes in the life of the rural people out there in terms of employment or a significant change in their lifestyle?
I think he already answered that. You already answered that.
Thank you for asking this question. And the answer is very definitely yes, because I have not been to many of them, but at least the ones that I have seen, about 10 or 12 of them, in a couple of states in the southern part of India. It has made a definite impact in the following manner. Number one, it's brought a sense of pride to the place because it opens up the place in a small way. It puts it on the larger map. Number two, it generates employment in that area. So at any bungalow, the people who are working there are predominantly local. Unless and until we do not find a local resource, we try to hire from outside. So it generates employment directly by having some people, and indirectly because once people start staying there, then they engage, and then the wheel of economy turns. And last but not the least, it opens up the thinking and the thought process. So in none of our properties, we have seen any negativity on this aspect. In fact, we have seen more and more, we have seen word of mouth of one leading to the other. So the answer to your question is yes, pretty much. It has helped. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much, sir.
Thank you for the wonderful panelist, and thank you for even... Dr. Saab, you want to ask question? We said 2 to 3, we have already taken 6. But okay, Dr. Saab, in your honor, one last. But please keep it short. माइक लेके चला क्यों जा रहा है?
Yeah, so my question is to attract into state of Odisha, especially who is like, I always stick with mountain, waterfall, because the people, rich people want to walk whole day in the mountain and stay eating the organic food, and before they check their blood and after that, and they want to pay any amount of money. There is one of my friends established in Mexico, they're spending $2,000 per night. So people want to come, and they also came with me here to Aranya Bhavan. They like it, even that they have no 3 weeks. They like the food, they like everything. Is there any planning to establish some models here and for in particularly the walking in the mountains, eating organics, and before and after the blood checking, like it's a wellness programs. Is there any hotel sooner or later going to establish in state of Odisha, anywhere in the Odisha?
I don't think there is any forthcoming project in the mountain for wellness tourism or wellness kind of Anand Himalaya Spa kind of project as yet. But Surya, you want to take it?
No, there are some entrepreneurs in Odisha who have gone to remote places and have opened up hotels and resorts. But it may not be for wellness per se. But then when you go to a resort with environment, nature,
I propose this into this, like it's a son of the ex-presidents of Argentina. They want to invest huge money. If they stick with mountain, waterfall, and organic food. Rest of this they will take care. They said they accept my proposals. That's why you're planning to open a global epigenetic center, health and wellness. I prefer to stick in Odisha. So I need suggestions from you, which places I have no knowledge such things. It will be great if you can guide me. And I found already investors and they agreed to invest the money because they have their own client of 10,000 people. So they don't have to spend money for the marketing. I'm here, they know me, and we do our own styles, and they will come. And I stick that in Odisha, and especially in Moir ones. But if any places you can suggest me. Thank you.
I think the last week, the economic forum, the tourism forum which happened in Odisha, I think that was the right forum where you would have come to know easily the places where that money can easily be invested. But I believe still we have got hoteliers, we have got Pradipta who has got wide experience in the region and all. I think they are better person to tell you where to invest. And if money is there, I'm sure any government will find out a place for you. They can always develop waterfalls for you in case you want to invest. So even see, from Prime Minister to Chief Minister, I believe everyone is asking for investment. And we do have natural, somebody was in the morning only, somebody was telling there are some beautiful waterfalls somewhere around which are underdeveloped. So those places are already there.
Okay, so you mean that...
As of now, I don't think we have the ready data, but you have people out here who have got this vast knowledge who can easily get you connected.
Thank you very much, my wonderful panelists and even wonderful audience. We enjoyed as much as you did, if you did at all. Now I would invite Diksha on stage to announce most punctual session of the day. Diksha, please come.
So there's one more question. There's one more question.
Okay.
There's one more question. So and it's from that lovely lady there. So we'll let you guys take it. Being a little partial.
Diksha, if you have the time, we have the inclination.
No, I'm being a bit partial here.
Okay, Mr. Panigrai's hand I see there.
Sir, in market, there's a specific segment which believe to save the rural culture, tradition from the urban and western culture. And you know that tourists which is coming, they are mostly from the urban area and from the western culture. So don't you think that they also empowering the local community, but they also destroying the local culture and tradition? So what's your opinion in this regard?
Is it a question or... Okay, sorry.
Madam, it's a good question. See, we are promoting rural tourism not to destroy our culture, but to destroy the Westerners. And to show them what we are. This is simplicity, this is the nature, this is the way you live. And if you live like this, you will live healthy. So we are calling them, come and stay with us and become healthy. You go to, see, if you go to Koraput, you get the best haldi. The haldi of Koraput you do not get anywhere. It is the best medicine for you. You go to nature, you get healed. You come to villages, you go to farms, you walk with them, you enjoy the nature with them, you will become mentally and physically, you will become rejuvenated. So that is the reason we are promoting rural tourism, and that is where our root lies. Ultimately, you have to have kagaz ki kashti and barish ka pani. Nothing beyond that. Okay, thank you.
Government of India statistics says the average lifespan rural population vis-a-vis urban population, rural population is 5.5 years more than urban population. Average lifespan. That answers your question. Mr. Panikrai, I see last your hand. I am not looking at Diksha.
I think Mr. Talukdar answers the best discussion because we have got the maximum questions. So kudos go to you.
District one product got a scheme ଅଛି so ସେଇ ସ୍କିମ୍ ରେ ଯଦି ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ district ରେ ଏଟାକୁ district planning ରେ include କରାଯାଇ ପାରିବ rural tourism ତାହେଲେ ସେଠି startup ଆଉ local entrepreneur ବି ସେଥିରେ ଭାଗ ନେଇ ପାରିବେ ସେ ବିଷୟରେ କି ଚିନ୍ତା କରିଛନ୍ତି କରିବା କ'ଣ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ମତାମତ?
Sir, I think this project was floated in Uttar Pradesh, first one district, one project, but all over India. Is it all over India? But in Odisha, as such specifics, I don't know of this project, one district, one product kind of thing. But I think eventually it will come. Oh yes, that I have seen in the policy. Destination-wise, your subsidy percentage varies, yes. I think that's all. We are not taking any more questions, and we are so happy for the wonderful audience. Maximum number of questions on this session. I think we made it so interesting or so boring, I don't know.
Yeah, thankfully we've not run a poll on the channel which was the session where we had maximum number of questions. I'm sure you guys would have won that hands down. Thank you so much. This was really interesting, and thank you audience. I think one of those few conclaves where I've been seeing very regular interaction from the audience, questions from the audience. So thank you. So a big round of applause for all of you. Thank you so much. Well, may I now request Mr. Durgashish, Executive Editor, Argus News, to please come here on stage and do the honors to felicitate our panelists here and, of course, our moderator for such a wonderful session. Now that I have praised this wonderful audience, I would also request you to stay put because we have the valedictory session and the cultural program coming up. So we want your active participation for some more time. One for the memory. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, we'll be moving very quickly to our valedictory session, but we'll just take a short 10 minutes break at the most, and then we'll be starting with the valedictory session. So those of you who have still not sipped your hot cup of evening tea, you could do that. But before we move to the valedictory session, we would like to honor two groups who are here amidst us, and we are talking about unlocking the potential of rural tourism. We are talking about opportunities in future, and these are the young minds of the tourism industry who are going to be the future tomorrow. So yes, I'm talking about students from IITM Bhubaneswar and IHM Bhubaneswar who are here with us today. We heard one of them asking a question as well. So a big round of applause for all of you as well for participating at, in this conclave, actively participating and asking your questions. We would take this opportunity to felicitate all of you as well as a token of appreciation from the Argus family. So first, I would like to invite on stage all the students from IITM Bhubaneswar. IITM Bhubaneswar, both are there. We are inviting anybody from IITM Bhubaneswar here? All right, I see some of them. And I request the CEO of Argus News, Mr. Prakash Sahu, to please join us on stage as well to do the honors and felicitate these young students. Come on, make some noise. You all can also make some noise as you are coming up on stage. A little more energy from all of you. You can do a little what, woo, yay. That'll increase the energy levels of the hall. These are very obedient kids. They're not even making noise. You can come forward. I'll request, yes, Mr. Sahu to join us on stage. नहीं, थोड़ा आवाज तो करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो नहीं मिलेगा. चिल्लाना तो पड़ेगा एक बार, कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा. हो जाए एक बार. A little noise, come on. सर से डर रहे हो? नहीं, बोलो. You, something. Come on. Yeah, I like that. All right. That's for the students of IITM Bhubaneswar. Photographer भी बोल रहे हैं ऐसा करके. Thank you so much, and wishing you all the best for your future. All right, I would like to now invite the students of IITM Bhubaneswar. एक ने तो अभी पिछले वाले सेशन मोस्ट आस्क्ड सेशन में क्वेश्चन भी पूछा है. आप लोग भी आवाज करके आओ, थोड़ा सा कुछ चिल्ला के आओ. Come on. तालियां अपने लिए ही कर लो. Clap for yourself. Hello. You were the one who was asking questions. Ah, good. What I love about hospitality students are they are so well dressed and they look so smart. These are the young minds who are going to drive the hospitality sector, the tourism sector tomorrow. So we need to applaud them. Come on, audience. Thank you, and all the best. Yes. So we are just about to start our valedictory session in the next 10 minutes. I'll request everybody to finish their hot cup of tea so that we can start with the valedictory session. You could bring your cups of tea, in fact, and settle down so that we can start the session as soon as possible. And after that, we have a cultural evening as well, which will be jointly hosted by me and Miss Swapna from the Argus family. Meanwhile, I'll once again like to thank all our partners for their support. Our state partners, Goa Tourism Development Corporation, Assam Tourism Development Corporation, Gujarat Tourism Development Corporation, Maharashtra Tourism Development Corporation, Jammu and Kashmir Tourism Development Corporation, Uttarakhand Tourism Development Corporation, Puducherry Tourism Development Corporation, Ministry of Tourism Incredible India, venue partner Crystal Crown, and travel partner Sand Pebbles.
पाखु पड़े उसमें देखा
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I need your attention now because I want all of you to get settled. We're about to start the valedictory ceremony. And students, those who have taken photographs, you need to stay seated and be a part of the ceremony as well. What an action-packed day this has been. And to think of it, it hasn't even ended because we are gearing up for the valedictory ceremony. And yes, we also have a cultural program after that. I'm announcing it time and again so that you all do attend the cultural evening as well and applaud and encourage the artists who would be performing here exclusively for all of you. So, yes, I think everybody is settled. So without any further delay, now let me